at the same time allowed armour thickness to be increased. From 1942, the series mounted a 75mm assault cannon, capable of engaging tanks as well as field targets, and protection was further increased with the addition of extra armour. Assault guns were originally intended for service in artillery regiments, but as the production of tanks was gradually overtaken by these weapons, increasingly numbers were delivered to Panzer and Panzer Grenadier Divisions. When the Mark III battle tank was discontinued in 1943, production was switched entirely to the assault gun, and more than 10,000 were eventually produced. The obsolete Czech-built 38T tank formed the basis for a number of highly successful self-propelled anti-tank guns. These were designed to utilize the tank's chassis and drivetrain, while massively outgunning it by replacing the turret with an open mantlet. This allowed the longer recoil of a larger weapon and gave the gunner increased visibility, although at the expense of protection. From 1942, they fulfilled an important role as auxiliary tank destroyers attached to mobile forces and were best employed in defense or in ambush. Self-loading rifles had been under development in Germany for many years, and these efforts finally bore fruit in the Walter Gewehr 41. The automatic bolt was operated by muzzle gases deflected back onto an annular piston. The Gewehr 41, however, although accurate, was muzzle heavy and unreliable, and was superseded in service by the Gewehr 43, an altogether better weapon, which also used a gas operating system. The Gewehr 43 was fitted with telescopic sights and was commonly used as a sniper rifle. The MG-34 was the first true general-purpose machine gun. It was light enough to be carried into battle and was belt-fed, allowing a prolonged and heavy rate of fire. The weapon was superbly crafted and had a dual-action trigger, giving the gunner the option of full or semi-automatic fire. The bipod could be positioned either at the end of the barrel for accuracy or near the breech for ease of maneuver. The weapon could also be mounted on a tripod frame, and the air-cooled barrel was easily and quickly changed, giving the gun the capability and performance of a heavy machine gun. Production of the MG-34 continued right up until the end of the war, and the gun also equipped all marks of German tanks. The standard German mortar throughout the war was an 80mm weapon, simply constructed and cheap to produce. The barrel, base plate and bipod could be carried as a three-man load, giving the infantry a light artillery capability at section level. The weapon had a well-deserved reputation for accuracy, and in the hands of an experienced mortar team could be employed to devastating effect in both an offensive and defensive role. Mortars caused more casualties amongst British and American troops than any other enemy weapon. what Hitler lacked in numbers, he had tried to remedy in terms of quality. Of the 2 German divisions in Sicily, the Hermann Göring division was deployed in the target sector and would be thrown into action on the first day. It was well equipped and carried the twin designations of a panzer and parachute formation. The division's personnel, although drawn mainly from the ranks of the Luftwaffe, were of the highest caliber and regarded themselves as elite troops. Morale within the ranks was high, as it was generally throughout the Wehrmacht's mechanized panzer and parachute divisions, and all of these shared an unwavering commitment to victory. While these deployments were taking place in southern Europe, the vast bulk of the Wehrmacht's offensive power was being concentrated in the east for the coming battle of the Kursk salient. A shortage of armour and equipment had caused the attack to be postponed 3 times, giving the Russians time to prepare their defences and squandering the advantage of surprise. The build-up of force by both sides was enormous, and the Germans had committed most of their armour to the battle, including almost all of their heavy tanks. The battle opened early on July the 5th with a preemptive bombardment by the Russians. When the German attack began at dawn, they were already partially disorganised and made slow progress. Within 2 days, the northern attack by the German 9th Army had come to a virtual standstill after gaining only a few miles, while the 4th Panzer Army, attacking in the south, was becoming bogged down in increasingly desperate fighting. As the Allies completed their final preparations for the invasion of Sicily, the Germans were facing the prospect of yet another failure in the east.
In early July 1943, while the Allies were completing their final preparations for an invasion of Italy, the Wehrmacht was fighting a critical battle of attrition with the Red Army on the Eastern Front. The Battle of Kursk was intended to severely damage the Red Army, establish a strong defensive position for the Wehrmacht, and enable forces to be withdrawn from Russia to buttress the defences of southern Europe. The battle had begun badly, with a preemptive Soviet artillery barrage, and had quickly become a slogging match in which the Wehrmacht could ill afford to become embroiled. Although German tactics and weapons were superior to those of the Red Army, the Red Army's seemingly inexhaustible reserves of manpower and material gave it greater endurance. Until the Battle of Kursk was resolved, there could be no major German redeployment from east to west. Meanwhile, from bases in North Africa, the Allies continued to prosecute the air war against Italy. Italian morale had already been gravely undermined by the loss of North Africa and the destruction of the Italian 8th Army on the Eastern Front. If the pressure was kept up by airstrikes and by landings in southern Italy, Allied commanders believed that Italian morale might collapse completely, leading to the defection of Italy from the Axis and a general capitulation.